I'm so proud of you. Jan's over there going, this is nothing. This is nothing. You got Connecticut and Massachusetts. Okay, take a deep breath. And what I know beyond a shadow of a doubt is that there is a presence and a power that is us and yet is beyond us. It is in and through all form, and yet it moves out into the ethers. It goes beyond time and space. It connects everything, everyone, every when, and everywhere. It is what we are, right here and right now. And knowing that I am that individualization of the divine, I speak my word as the word of God, right here and right now, calling forth all of the power of creation. And I speak my word for and about everyone within the sound of my voice. I know that we are spiritual beings. I know that we are powerful. I know that we are wise. I know that we are clear. I know that our lives prosper abundantly, that our bodies are healthy, that we have more than enough to do whatever it is we choose to do, that our way is clear and open. The doors are open, the red carpet is rolled out, and we move forward in our lives claiming the success that is ours. I know that we get everything that we need to get out of this class, and we use these principles to live a life that continues to get better and better and better. And with great gratitude for being able to come to Science of Mind 102 at Center for Spiritual Living Asheville, and for being able to use these teachings and share with such great people, with great gratitude for all of the blessings that we have, I simply release this treatment into the mind of God, the body of God, the heart of God, because I know that God is in it all, because it is all God. As together we say, and so it is. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you watching online, it is the beginning of our Science of Mind 102 class, and there will be a workbook posted up on the website shortly. And that's all I can say is shortly, is that we know it will be there. It is November 26th, 2018, where we are, and wherever you are, it's the perfect time and place. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you came. You noticed that there is an orange notebook out on the table, the sign-in table. That is your next series of study questions and reading assignments. We finished the yellow notebook as of today, and we are embarking on the orange one. We're going to do this until we're done, and then we'll start 103 and somewhere in the year with 104. So this is a year-long course cut up into 4 segments, and it's just a wonderful way to go through the textbook and really pick at it. This is my favorite section of the textbook because we get to have causes and conditions, the principles of successful living, mental and spiritual treatment, physical perfection, the law of attraction. We get to go through all of the really juicy parts. Sometimes in the beginning it's kind of intellectual and analytical. This is the part that I think has more of the meat and the beef and the gravy in it if you're not vegan. Steve.
At the completion of 104, class section 104, will you have read the whole book?
You'll have read all but the essays in the back, yes. Yes, or the healing treatments in the back. You'll have read all of the lessons in it. So, treatment work from last week. Who has demonstrations to share? This is the funniest class. Jack.
Last week, Ann treated something for me, and I'm not sure how to explain this. One of Linda's relatives, her husband, I had some ill feelings about her and the niece and her husband based on some prior interactions. So I was a little concerned about them coming into town last week. So she treated that I don't remember exactly how it worked, but everything would fall in place and everybody would feel good. And I did pretty darn good.
Good.
And what I what I decided after they left, I told my wife, I said, look, I had some ill feelings about them, you know why, and I've just come to the conclusion that I would not purposely go seeking time to spend with those people. They're just not my type of people, and I don't want to have anything to do with them, but I'll be glad to meet with you and talk to them and so forth when the occasions occur, and I'm okay with that. She said, yeah, that's fine.
That's wonderful, that's called forgiveness. Yay, Jack. Good for you. You do that, not for them, you do it for you, so you don't
Yeah.
drag around the ill will.
Yeah,
Yes, because that's very taxing on you.
yeah.
Who else? David Mark.
We had a meeting with the design review board of our neighborhood regarding an issue with the house. So I asked Susan, my treatment partner, to repeat for that. And we went into the meeting, and the first thing was that we were moved on the agenda from number 3 to number 1. And then the meeting itself was really rather perfunctory and cordial, and it lasted 5 minutes. I would be surprised, and you know, everything just went very well.
Yay! Yay! For you. Who else? Sandy.
I was on the road for Thanksgiving, so I treated for my drive going and my drive coming back. Just peaceful and calm.
Boy, you are 1 in 10 million. Yay! Who else? Elise.
I had hurt my knee a few weeks ago, and so one of the things she was treating for was for my knee to feel great and everything, and it's feeling really good. I just went to like a really hard workout class for the first time since that happened, and I didn't have any problems with it, and so I feel like it worked.
You're healed. Yay, Elise. Yay. Jane.
I've been working on forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge project for me. And so I'm not sure how much progress I've made, but I'm doing it in connection with writing about it.
Do you feel better?
Not yet. But
Who's your treatment partner?
Oh,
Keep that in
Amy,
mind.
oh, yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
well, she's so great. I'm thrilled that she's been a big help to me.
Good. Yay. Who else? Yes, Karen.
Well, I'm only learning how to do treatments. It was really helpful to do it with David last time. But I'm starting to just feel very, like every day after I meditate, I do these steps. And I'm starting to feel really forceful inside when I say, I know that this will happen, and I feel confident.
That it already has
That
happened.
okay, that's the part that I wanted to ask you about. Because I'm mainly doing it for guidance, like I know I'm being guided and.
I am guided.
Okay, I am. So you don't say I will be, or my parents'
No.
house will sell.
Because will is always in the future,
Okay.
and then you'll never have it. So I'm guided. I'm always guided and directed.
Okay. And what about like if my parents' house is selling?
Sold. Sold. Get your parents out of there in your mind. Put a new family in there. Put new car in the driveway. New paint on the walls. Maybe there are children. There's new food in the fridge. There's new decorations on the wall. Your parents' house, old house, is sold. There's a new family living in there now, or a new person. Somebody new. Cut that energy. Being, going to, is gonna happen, maybe, someday, if. All of that is future.
So just to say I know isn't enough, you need to just.
Well, what do you know? If you know it's going to, then it's always going to, it's never gonna happen. So do you wanna know that, or do you wanna know that it's already here?
And the same thing with like
Do
finding.
you?
What's that?
Do you wanna know that it's going to
Know
forever?
that it is
That it's already here?
already here.
Yeah. The only way it ever can manifest it is if it's already here. There is no future in now.
So, okay,
That's a keeper. There is no future in now.
Yay. So what about if you're trying to get a place where you're going, like I'm I'm living in, I mean, it'll be the future, like, you know what I mean, but.
No, I don't. You already are in your new place. You're already there. Forget about trying, forget about going to happen. No, it's already done. And then you're gonna do the steps that show up for that movement to take place. But in mind, it has to be here now. Be here now. That's the only place you can manifest, is here and now. And we'll talk about that a little later in secondary causation. Is it hot in here?
Thank
No.
you.
Yes, literally.
I have layers, I can take several off.
I checked the heat before I came over and someone had turned the air conditioning on. So I cranked the heat up so it'd be warm enough, but if it gets too hot, we can turn it down a little bit because it is cranked up. Any other treatment demonstrations? Amanda?
I don't remember what I asked for, but during this week, I have been treating for, 2 of the horses. We got 2 new horses at the barn, and the one is a bit of a scaredy cat. So I do a treatment every time before I have to walk him somewhere. And it's gone remarkably well. He did get away this morning, but he was in the pen. But the very first time I walked him up there, the 2 of them together, my big concern was deer, because there's herds of deer that are on both sides and they like to run out. And I saw them, and I had done a treatment at the bottom, and I saw them and I stopped, and I'm just like, okay, you are going to stay right there until we walk past. And they did. They stayed and they froze. Which they're used to me, so they don't always freeze. They'll just keep walking around and sometimes run across the road. But
So you are mastering animal communication.
all of them stood in place.
Good. Do you know that Secretariat, I think it was, used to get Reiki treatments and
I'm
had
taking
shot
an
lists.
animal Reiki class.
Had crystals in his pen because he was still being used for stud, and they wanted him to be up to it. So he would get Reiki treatments, they would play music, he would get massages, and there were crystals in there. So you can do all of that with animals. Animals are very receptive to treatment work. Good, good. Who else?
One more.
Sandy.
I'm a caregiver for my mom at certain times during the month, and I struggle a lot with patience. So I had asked Steve to treat me for that, and,
Treat you to struggle with patience?
no, treat me to be patient.
Okay,
Wow,
let's
we're
be
very
mindful of our
sweet.
language.
Okay. So, I did pretty good, so I was there 3 days, so 2 days I was pretty good, and 1 day I was a little snickers.
You may want to not be so hard on yourself. The affirmation is, I am patient. It's easy for me to be patient. Okay? It's easy. Take a breath. It's easy for me to be patient. I've got this. Everything's okay. Something like that. And if something comes out of your mouth that is not your first, that is your first thought, but you would choose to have a second thought, then just redo it. That's one of the neat things about being now, is that if something happens and you want to redo, you have an infinite number of redos with every second that is going on. You can just do it over. Do it over in your mind, or actually say, you know, I want to just say that again in a way that I really am more comfortable with. And what you do is you reprogram your brain to be able to say that. I am going to turn that heat down a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. Anything else? Okay. Your reading assignment from last week was on prayer and faith. We talked about that a little bit last week. Did you have any questions about the reading? Did you glean any insights from the reading? Remember we talked about traditional prayer versus affirmative prayer? I've talked about an outside God versus an inside connection.
Traditional, yeah. Belief,
What about belief, Jane?
it has to be part of your prayer, or it's not a prayer.
Well, ideally, it's part of your prayer, but then we get into the reading for tonight, since the room is kind of flat on last week's reading, that says that you can treat even if you don't have belief. That you can do a spiritual mind treatment even without full belief. Now, it's good to really believe what you're treating for. That's where the real clear energy is coming through you. However, if you're treating like Elise is treating for her knee, not to hurt, that it's pain-free, that it's, let's be better words, that it's comfortable and strong and flexible, and that she gets to do everything that she wants to do, and at the same time it's boom, boom, boom. You don't have to completely be 100% in your belief of what you're treating for. How does that work? Susan?
David is treating for me, and it's something that is not manifest yet. But I believe in his treatments. I believe in treatments. I believe in the teaching. I believe in the history of every time something was treated for me, it came to pass. So it's not there yet. But I'm seeing myself and hearing myself sharing with myself and whoever else is interested that it already is.
Yeah, so don't go to it's not there yet. It is here.
It is
It
here.
is here. Of course it's here.
Okay.
Of course it's here. This is where we get a little schizophrenic.
But what you just said is, even if your knee is pounding,
You can still demonstrate health in that knee.
okay,
And the way that Ernest describes it is, in order to tip the scales of creation, you only need to go to 51%. And that doesn't even have to be all of yours. You can be at 20%, and you can have a treatment partner that's going to bring in 31%. And you're at 51%, and the creation starts to happen. If we had to be completely 100% clear about everything we wanted to create, nobody would be able to do this. Nobody would be able to do this. The bar would be too high. And so people come into this teaching and they think, oh, well, I don't believe that I've got all of this money to pay all of my bills. I've got $100,000 in credit card debt. I don't believe that. Well, you don't have to believe it all the way. So can you start by thinking that maybe there's a possibility that you could have all of that? Well, yeah, if I won the lottery. Okay, well, can you start to envision a you that has all of their credit card debt paid off? Can you start to envision a you that has a healthy, strong me? And can you begin to open up to that idea? And once you start cracking that stoic wall of no, I can't have the life that I want, once you start cracking that, then the floodgates of all of the good of the universe start pouring into us. So it's important to know that you don't have to be completely 100% clear to manifest. And I know some people that are pretty screwed up, and they can manifest like crazy. So it's not requiring sainthood, it's not requiring enlightenment. The clearer that you get, the better your treatments. That's why we see practitioners who can demonstrate just like that. You know, they've put 20 years into the practice to allow themselves to get clear. They've got a big stack of demonstrations of things that they know have already happened from their treatments, so they have faith and trust in that, and they can demonstrate clearly. But anybody can demonstrate. I had a practitioner one class in this very room, and at the time we had the youngest practitioner one student in the world. His name was Isaac Rubin, and he was 11. And he was a little ADD. We had 20 people in the practitioner one class, and he would stand in back of his chair and kind of jump back and forth. You know, he was a kid. And the people were lined up to have him do treatment work for him, because he said, treatment's easy. Money's easy. What do you want? And his treatments would demonstrate just like that. He wasn't all together. He wasn't even grown yet. But he knew that if he said this thing, it was going to happen. And so even if we have our own doubts, if we know that we say this treatment, that we do our spiritual practice, that however it is you're doing it, you're visualizing it, you're writing it, you're speaking it, however you're bringing it through you into form, that that's going to manifest. I think that one of the hardest things for me personally is when someone leaves because they don't think they're good enough at this to be able to have all the great things that everybody else seems to have. And not only not good enough on a self-esteem level, but that they're not good enough in the treatment process. That's why we have practitioners every Sunday. Go let them treat. You know, like Susan said, I believe in David's treatment. Great, go believe in their treatment if you're not believing in your own. And then as things start to demonstrate and your life starts getting better and better, you start collecting those ideas of faith that say, boy, it sure looked like all was lost, and then everything worked out. Oh, maybe this can work out too, so that we can dip into that when we need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, Karen, you were here for the first time last week, right?
No, I wasn't.
When were you here for the first time? In this class?
In this class?
Yeah.
The first night?
Oh, were you?
I've
Well,
been here about 6 times.
but you never did a spiritual mind treatment before.
No.
No, so here you are, 6 weeks, whoopee-doo. And here you are treating after your meditations every day. Yeah,
I'd gotten a treatment in church, but I
Mhm.
never have got done it myself.
yeah, good. So anybody can do this. Anyone can hold an idea, impress it upon spiritual law, and have that manifested in their life. It's fantastic. Sometimes I don't understand why there aren't planes flying up and down the coastline with this. You can create your dreams, you know? All you need to do is learn this process. One of the things that you need to do is turn away from the condition. When you focus on what's not working, what are you doing?
Focusing on what's not working.
You're focusing on what's not working. You're treating that into your experience. It's not a 5-step spiritual mind treatment, but if you focus on the condition that you don't want, you're going to create more of that in your life. And I don't know if it's the hardest part of the teaching, but learning how to take your thought and pull it away from that emotional reaction away from what your friends and families are upset about, away from the stories that you've written in your head. Take that thought and pull it away from what you don't want and force yourself to think about what you do want, to vision board it, to write it out, to daydream it into experience. Whatever it is, to forge new pathways in your brain is not for sissies. Candace Pert wrote a book called something of biology of emotions, something like that about emotions. And she talked about what fires together, wires together. And so your brain cells, as you think a certain thought over and over and over again, are actually touching and they grow together. They grow together. All is lost. This is never going to work. I can't have that. Everything always falls apart. They're grown together. And when you are taking your thought and pulling it away from what you don't want, you are literally pulling those tendrils in your neurotransmitters apart. You're ripping them apart. And then you get that free-floating, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel solid. Everything feels like it's just not okay. I just don't know what that is. And I'm thinking those are your brain cells floating around, and they haven't found what to grow and hook onto yet. And then you think about what you want. You treat it, you write it, you read about it, you come to the center, you talk to people about what you want, and it finds new ones. And they grow together. Until your default reaction is, only good can come from this. This is a blessing in disguise. I know that I can work this out. I know I've got everything that I need to do whatever it is I choose to do. And that becomes your default. And the level of knowing that and the level of belief with that skyrockets. So we must learn to stop complaining, criticizing, gossiping, doomsdaying, catastrophizing, doing woundology with each other, you know, all of that stuff, we have to stop it, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, but the rewards are huge. Your mind is a center of divine operation. Why are you filling it up with all of that stuff? You gotta clean it out. You gotta hook it up to what's gonna work. Grab hold of the good in your life. Don't let go, no matter how enticing the drama is, no matter how they did what you know they did. Who cares what they did? That's old news. What we want is to have the life that we want to have today. So what you're gonna do is pull yourself away. And sometimes the pulling away is not that easy. So in spiritual mind treatment, we give you a little opportunity to process. There are two different kinds of treatment. You've got the argumentative kind of treatment, and then you've got the realization. The realization treatment is what so many of us aspire to. Sitting on top of a mountaintop, chanting the Om, contemplating our navel, at peace with all, everything is cool. That's the realization treatment. The steps to a realization treatment is God is, I am, and so it is. Or you are, or he, she is. Very easy, no back talk, no questioning, just smooth and clean. You're just knowing that all is well, not a problem. That's not usually my treatment. My treatment often goes to the argumentative part. If I'm doing an argumentative treatment, it's because I'm arguing with myself. There's a part of me that's saying, oh, get real. Oh, please. Maybe, maybe if you get lucky. Something like that. And if under the guise of being positive, we ignore that part of us, then we're not going to be able to really affect a true belief. We're just going to sugarcoat it and say, well, I'm pretending now that everything's all right. I'm homeless, and they repoed my car, and I haven't eaten for a few days, but oh, God is all there is, and everything is fine. This is not a teaching like that. This is a teaching that you can hold in your hand, that you can demonstrate in physical form. This is a teaching that you can count. You can have it show up on a biopsy. You can have it show up on an X-ray. This is a teaching that actually happens. And Ernest says, if it hasn't happened yet, you have not finished the treatment. That you treat until you get a demonstration, period, end of story. We used to have a guy named Terry McBride that would come and talk. He wrote a book called The Hell I Can't. He had a back issue, was told he'd never walk again, spent, I think, years in the hospital, never fathered children, and now that he's, walking around and his kids are grown, and he goes around to other New Thought centers and promos his book and his workshop, The Hell I Can't, because the doctors told him you couldn't, and he said, the hell I can't. So he says, if your practitioner is not demonstrating in your life, fire them. And people go, oh, yes, it is the practitioner's job to create the demonstration in your life. And if you wait and say, oh, well, I did the treatment, but they must not have been ready for it. They must not have been open to it. They must not have done enough work for it. They must not have had enough self-esteem. They can do whatever they want to that demonstration after it manifests. They can wreck the car, they can lose the money, they can destroy the relationship. That's their business. It is the person doing the treatment's business to have the demonstration. And I love that Terry sets the bar that high. He says, and so does Ernest. Ernest says, if your treatment has not demonstrated, you're not finished treating. That goes under the idea of, do I do one treatment? Do I treat every day? Well, how many treatments does it take? And Ernest says it only takes one. One perfect, completely realized treatment. Now, it may take hundreds of treatments to get ourselves into that place. But this is not a teaching that is pretending that we have something when we don't have it. We're not just trying to look good. We actually can create things in our lives. And if we're not creating things in our lives, we're just not done. That's all. But we don't have to be completely enlightened to create in our lives. Anybody can use this to create. For that matter, everybody does. So if we're looking at manifesting something and we have a voice inside of us that doubts, it's important to get in there and pull it out into the light of day and take a look. I don't want you just going into my subjective mind and sabotaging all of my work. I want to pull you out and look at you. So what kind of a thing might you do a spiritual mind treatment for? Health. So here's a treatment for health. What might your doubts to health be? You do a treatment for health. I know that I am completely healthy. Every cell in my body, every organ, every bone, every tissue, every system. I am health. And the voice says, no, you're not.
Everyone but me.
No, you are not. Everyone but me. Okay, let's look at these. Because it doesn't really matter what you're using as an example, it's the process. So, you do a treatment that you're in perfect health, and the voice says, no, you're not. What do you do with that?
Can you ignore it?
Ignoring it doesn't help. Ignoring your doubts and turning away from the condition are two different things. One is focusing your mind power on what you want, and the other one is called suppression and denial. Suppression and denial keeps that no, you're not in your subjective mind, poisoning your creative process. So for me, I want to drag it out and look at it. Let's say you got the phrase, no, you're not. What are you going to do with that? Oh, yes, I am. David.
You can say, be still and know that I am God. You're saying being still to that thing that's talking to you. Shut up, be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm God. I'm in control. I'm the source and origin of all things. And just be quiet. Let me do my thing.
Great. Be still and know that I am God. The part of me that's doing this treatment is so much clearer than you. That just chill for a little while. Now, if that works, that's great. If that part of me, of us says, I'm not going to be still, I'm going to yell louder. What do you do then?
Okay, and then say, well, there is a divine presence. It's the source and origin of all things. It's all powerful. There is nothing else. And that is what you are. If there is something saying that you're not, that now is subjected to the truth of the divine intelligence that you are. That truth transcends, transmutes, and changes that from something that does not belong into something that does belong, and I go on my merry way, happy and healthy.
Good. Thank you. If you don't have that clarity of consciousness, what might you do? Rick?
In years past, I have kind of just pushed things down. But I recognize that nowadays as I'm doing my work, I'll say, okay, well, that's a fact. The facts can change. And then I go into this, into just the sense that God is everywhere, everything, and there's no place where it isn't. And so I just focus on that instead of really the other diminishes.
Great. So health is everywhere. There's no place that health isn't.
Yeah.
And focus on that.
Yeah.
Great. Sandy?
I've been taking that song, Karen Drucker, Thank You,
Mm-hmm.
and I start singing that. And I sing it, thank you for my healthy body. And I just think over and over and over.
Great, great. Thank you for my healthy body. Wonderful.
Could you get angry at the, negative, like?
I don't
Terry
find
did?
getting angry to be an effective tool. I don't find anger to be an effective tool.
Because Terry, that's what Terry did, Terry, whatever.
Right, he was strapped in one of those rotating beds for months. He was
That's right.
angry, and he used that anger, yes. But I think that without being in those dire circumstances, generating anger is not gonna be your highest consciousness. And you don't have to go there. You like anger.
I do.
I know, so don't give yourself an excuse just to get angry, because that's gonna bring you down instead of lift you up. So we can look, for those of us that are not able to go to those places, we can look at this idea of, I'm not healthy. Okay, this is a condition, this is temporary, this is something that my body was born to heal. There is a wisdom and an intelligence within my body, and there is a health and wholeness, even if at this moment I can't see it. And I know that I'm gonna stick with it until I can see it, until I do have that manifest in my life. And then that would be, there's a power and presence within me that transcends and supersedes all of these conditions, and that's the real me, the truth of me, and all of this other stuff is just nonsense, and I'm gonna sing my way out of it and focus on what I wanna have. Don't be afraid to address what comes up. Sometimes we get kind of caught up in, we want to be holy, we want to be spiritual, we want to have it all together. And sometimes we don't. That's why we have this experience that needs treatment. If we didn't have the experience, we wouldn't be doing the treatment to begin with. So there is something going on. If we have an issue of everyone but me, what kind of response would you have to that? Everyone else can have a healing, but not me.
We're all one.
We're all one, so everybody's healing is my healing. I have healed as everyone already, and everyone who has healed as me. We're all one. I've already done this. And if you have a part of you that says you don't deserve to have this, you're not good enough to have this, then what do you do with that?
Deny it, yes I am.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm a precious cosmic self. I am integral to the unity of the universe and of all that there is. I can have this. I'm loved. I'm supported. For that matter, not only can I have it, but, Karen, I have it now. I already have it. So whether or not I deserve it is a moot point because I already have it. And what you can do is you can diffuse some of those sabotage energies so you can get to the place where you're really clear. Oh, that's so silly. I know who I am, and I know that the entire power and presence of the universe is manifest in me as me now. There's nothing I can't do. I can do all things, yay. I am Barbara Waterhouse, I have the power. You know, you can get to there, but if you try to be somebody that you're not, then you're never going to get where you want to go. If I try to walk from the door to the kitchen, because if I was in the doorway, I would look really cool, and I would be very impressive, as opposed to just little old me up in front of the room here. Boy, if I was in that doorway, I could walk to the kitchen and everything would be great. Am I ever going to walk to the kitchen? No, because I'm not in the doorway. I'm here. The only way I'm ever going to get to the kitchen is to start where I am. And when I started doing treatments, I had so many naysayers inside of me, just with lists and lists and lists of how this was never going to happen. I could never be powerful. I could never learn how to do this. I would never was the key word. This never. And I found that I had to look at that straight on and go, well, first of all, where's that coming from? whose voice is in my head? You know, if it was my mother's voice, I knew where the work was. What is it that I need to address inside of me so that I can open more to have that demonstration? How can I let go? How can I forgive? How can I release some of these heavy negative vibes that I've shoved down in front of me and tried to sugarcoat with my pretty smile? I sugarcoated a lot because I got away with it until I really started to create. And I can't really create unless I use what I have right here and right now. And that means if I have a little gunk coming up, I need to look at it so I can get it out of the way. So I can say, well, of course, I am everybody. So of course I can have this. It may take a little work, granted. I may need a little more polishing than I think the people around me need, except we're all the same. So, but I'm willing to do that, and I know that the more I practice treatment, the more I practice affirmations, the more I practice meditation, the more I do this, the clearer I'm going to be. And yes, see how we're getting to the yes? And yes, I can have this. You know, sometimes I wish we had that traditional Christian paradigm where I could say, I am the child of the king. I have already inherited the kingdom. That's already in my blood. I came with that. But I can't say that because that's a completely dualistic paradigm. But there's still that kind of idea that there is something inside of us that already has everything that we could possibly want. We already have it. It hasn't been given to us because there's nothing outside of us to give it to us. But we have it. We have it, and we have it right now, and we have it right here, and whatever I need to do to open up the doorways of my consciousness to have that manifest, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it as long or as many times as I need to get me clear. It's not that I'm trying to make it, I'm just trying to get clear so that I can accept it. And I'm not done till I hold it in my hand. I'm not done till I hold it in my hand. I had such a fun morning. I went to see my general practitioner, just wanted to make sure my wrist wasn't really broken because it's been a month. And I love you, I love you, I love you. I know you're perfect, whole, and complete just the way you are, but I wanted to get a second opinion and make sure that there wasn't anything I could do to support my wrist to have a speedier process. But what I got to do is I got to take all of my lab results and have them put in my file that the chronic kidney disease stage 3A had been completely reversed. And that was such a rush for me because treating for perfect health is not the end-all be-all. I want it in a lab result. I want it to be able to hold it in my hand. If I treat for a car, I want to drive it. If I treat for a house, I want to live in it. I want to be able to see the demonstration of what it is I'm focusing on and creating. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of words that really don't mean anything. And there are plenty of people out in the world that are trying to put on that they're different than the way they truly are, because it starts with having a sense that who they truly are is not good enough, so they want to pretend to be more or better or whatever that label may be that they have, so that they can try to go from the door to the kitchen without facing what standing here means for them. I want to be able to stand here and hold it in my hand and say, this stuff works. This is not airy-fairy stuff. This is not BS belief system. This is not something that is just made up. This is an actual demonstration in time and space of something that is real. And that's what I love. I love that. So what I want to do is, if I've got something blocking my ability to demonstrate, if I've got something that's blocking my holding it in my hand, then I want to get it out, bring it into the light of day and look at it so that I can see what is it that I need to heal to be able to go right to this realization. All of the power and the presence of the divine is right where I am. It is who I am. It is what I am. And I know that I am it. And that's all I need to know. All is well. I am a spiritual being. I'm alive and well on planet Earth. I am peace, power, beauty, joy, love, light, life, wisdom. That's my nature. That's all that I am. I don't have to go to and the deal closes or the car works or the person walks into my life. I don't need to manage it at that level in the realization phase. All I do is know that God is all that there is. You can have this treatment with just that. If you really got that, you wouldn't need to do anything else. You would be levitating around. People would be sitting at your feet. For most of us, we're over here. We're over here saying, okay, I've got this problem, or this thing is not quite right. Maybe it doesn't have to go to problem. This thing is not quite right in my life, and I would like it to change, so I'm going to either give myself a treatment or ask someone else to give me a treatment so that that condition shifts. And then we need to look at what is in us that is unhealed, that we have created that condition to begin with. The problem with treating for conditions, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't because this is a first-year class and you're going to, but the problem with treating for conditions is that then we think that our focus is on the condition. So Thomas Troward said that when you allow your purpose to be contingent upon any person, place, or thing, this is a person, a place, or a thing, you've descended to the level of secondary causation. And that is the level of doubt, fear, and limitation. So if I'm going, I have got to have this demonstration of health, boy, if I don't have this demonstration of health, I'm not okay. I'm dealing at secondary causation. Most people, when they treat, deal with secondary causation. When we get really clear, this is all we need, and the demonstration is health. But we don't have to go there. And if the health hasn't demonstrated, we are still in that consciousness that all is well. Ernest said that there's a process in healing, not a process of healing, meaning that the health is instantaneous, and then sometimes in our lives, time and space kicks in, and it takes a time element for it to show up. But on the subjective side of life, on the mental realm, the healing has already occurred. So if there's a time element, then I go back to, only good can come from this. There's some reason that for the divine right order of my life, for this to manifest, everything is coming together in concert and harmony for my highest and best, and all is well, and I'm not hooked into it. I'm not hooked into whether or not this particular thing happens. Sometimes I look at people when they come up to me and say, oh, I want you to treat for this, and I want you to treat for that, and I want you to treat for this, and I want you to treat for that. And I say, I am not a treatment vending machine. You can't put in your request and push a button and out pops exactly the way you want your life to be. What I will know is that spirit is all that there is, and that manifested as you as perfection. And so everything in your life is perfect. You've got perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect happiness. If you don't see it, that's your issue. But I know that God is all that there is. I see with my God eyes, I think with God thought, and I see the presence of the divine in you and in everyone. And then that's my treatment. And when I do that with people, they'll come back and say, oh my God, I found out I didn't really want that thing because that wasn't the right thing. It's like I stopped Jane from treating for you to work for her neighbors. No, that's not Amanda's thing. Amanda's thing is freedom and joy and love and happiness. And when you treat for that, who knows where it's going to come from? But when you're all caught up in my insecurities are so strong that this has to show up the way that I think it should show up or else I'm going to be afraid, then you start getting the doubts and the upsets. And you've got to pull that out and look at it. And the sooner you can get to the realization treatment that just knows that all is well. The spirit is all that there is. That is the truth of everyone and everywhere. And that all is well. And you pull yourself away from the conditions and focus on that, the sooner you do that, the better your demonstrations get. Isn't it funny that if you want something, you don't pound it? You pull back, you rise up, and you know that higher truth. And when you do that, it may show up like this, it may show up like that, it may show up like this. Who knows how it's going to show up, but it's going to show up in alignment with that higher truth. So when you do your treatment for people, and they say, treat for me that tomorrow when I go to this job interview, I get this job. Don't do that. What are you going to get if you get the job? Oh, I'll get money. What are you going to do if you have money? Well, then I'll be able to relax, and I'll be able to pay all my bills, and I'll be able to do some fun things that I've been wanting to do. Okay, let's know that you're relaxed, that all of your bills are paid, and that you're getting to do, that you are doing fun things in your life. You're having a lot of joy in your life, a lot of laughter, a lot of happiness in your life. And then, if that job interview was in alignment with those things, because you could have gotten that job and been miserable, and not paid your bills, and not been able to do what you wanted to do. If that job is in alignment with those higher experiences, you'll get the job. And if it isn't, you'll be grateful at some point in your life that you didn't get it. You don't get something by beating on it, by trying to control it, by trying to micromanage it. I think they call that outlining.
Call it what?
It's called outlining, but that's very confusing. When you get too specific,
Uh-huh.
you're actually reducing the creative force of life.
That's something else, isn't it?
That is something else, Jane. That's something else. So as you're learning to do spiritual mind treatment, I want you to, as often as possible and as much as possible, rise up in consciousness and get away from the nitty-gritty of it all. Trust that there's an order, a balance, a harmony in life that can take care of the details. I used to say, oh, God can handle the sunrise, but not my experience here. You know, the intelligence in the universe, the balance, the health, the harmony, the expansion, the life, the love, that can manifest as any of the details in our lives. And if we open to the highest vibration, the highest consciousness, the highest awareness of that, then we'll get bigger, better, higher things. And it may not look anything like we thought it was going to look. Does that make sense? Good. This is very much a practitioner class. And when you go to a practitioner, if you ask them to treat for a new car and they do, they're not doing you a service. If you ask them to treat for a new car and they start treating about freedom and how you're always have your needs met, your desires met, and how you live your life in luxury and opulence and you go where you want to go and do what you want to do, that's the treatment. And then if it's that car, then that pops up in your life. But I've seen so many people who treat for the car, get the car, it blows up or gets in a wreck or something like that, and that was not the best use of the creative process of the entire universe. So try to get up into that. There's only one. Divine presence, power, magnificent creative substance and force of the universe. That is what I am. And as much as possible, hang out there. Hang out there. And that is what Rick is. That is what Jack is. That is what everybody is. And see that perfection in everyone right now. Try to pull away from the condition that says, I don't have a car, I need a car, treat me for a car.
That's secondary causation.
Exactly. And I still have practitioners who say, you want me to treat in the absolute all the time? Yes, I really do. I want you to treat in the absolute all the time. Treat for the verities of life. Treat yourself to be clear. Treat yourself to trust in this process. Treat yourself to always be loved and be in joy and to have everything that you choose to have. But leave it at that. To be loved and supported by life. And then leave it alone. And however that's going to be a vibrational match and seek you out and find you, It's gonna happen. And the higher you can bring your vibration and the bigger you can open your consciousness, the higher and bigger your demonstrations will be.
It's,
Anna.
It's like to be open to the unlimited.
Sure, be open to the unlimited good that is yours now. But that's not to be confused with, there must be somebody outside of me that has decided that I don't get it. You know, that whole not my but thy will, O Lord, that's a little crazy. Because, just for language, whatever the will of God is, it has to be for love and joy and life and expansion and happiness. It has to be that. It can't be, oh, Barbara, you screwed up when you were 6 years old and you're going to be forever damned. It can't be that way. So to use that as an excuse that I don't get to have that because I haven't done enough forgiveness work, because I haven't meditated enough, because I'm not spiritually evolved enough, because I just have something awry in me. That's not what I'm saying. To open up to the infinite possibilities of our good and to not be attached to how that good shows up. Really, joy. Forever. Do you really care what face it's on? Do you really care what package it comes in? Joy forever. That's what I want. I want to know that joy. I want to know that love. I want to live my life in that experience. And then I don't care how it looks on the outside. Because I've got what I really wanted, but I thought I needed this to be able to get my joy. That's the secondary causation. We want to go right to the joy, right to the love, right to the prosperity, right to the health, right to the wholeness, right to the clarity, right to the wisdom. We want to go right to that instead of being sidetracked by, oh, this is shiny, this is pretty, it sparkles. I bet if I had that, I'd be okay. No, go right to not only being okay, but being magnificent. Jane.
I really believe in a lot of people, and one of them is Lynn, and I accidentally went to her class. I wasn't planning to. But anyway.
There are no accidents.
So whatever it was, there I was in Lynn's class, and Sunday. And so she said, well, what do you want, Jane? And I said, well, my hearing is toast, and I want good hearing, you know. And she said, okay, and blah, blah. And I actually believed her. And the thing of it is that I hadn't been thinking about it, but I realized all of a sudden today, I hear all sorts of things that I've never heard.
Do you remember Nancy Peavy? She passed about a year ago.
Yeah, I knew her.
She was deaf, got her hearing restored, and then she walked around and went, gosh, everything is so loud. I have to get rid of clocks in my house because they're going tick, tick, tick. Never heard them before. But a lot of people get their hearing restored. There's nothing that can't heal. Everything has a divine essence of absolute vibrant health. And if we've cloaked it with something else, that's not it, that's us. And it's up to us to get in there and get a hold of that original health that was always there. And I don't care if someone was born deaf, they still can have hearing. Yeah.
Oh, and I see, I judge a lot, so I was, I thought, I'm not gonna get anywhere if I keep just saying, I can't hear, can't hear.
Wait, this is a revelation.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's just judgment. I mean, and so, I just quit wondering, am I gonna get hearing just because of Lynn's class? Is my hearing gonna return? I mean, I don't really care. But, and that's when my hearing I suddenly thought, oh my gracious, it's coming back.
Wonderful. Good for you, Jane. Lynn Villa is doing a healing group. I think she's doing one more Sunday after the celebration upstairs, and then she's off to Joe Dispenza for a month. And when she comes back, she's going to put a group together that want to do healings on each other or treatment work, or she does this access consciousness stuff. But the woman was given up for dead.
Yeah, she really was.
I know, and
she was run over,
and she has regrown her body. and she is in the middle of regrowing her eye. She is very clear about that.
Her eyes?
Her eye, yes. And I have seen many people who have things that were completely impossible medically have that demonstrated. So you can do anything. I just want to say thank you, Barbara Updike. My friend from Japan sends me gifts
Oh, nice.
and watches online. Any other questions before we take a break? Ann?
Can we go back to the car?
Mhm.
If someone asks you to treat for a car, should you not mention the car?
No, I would say, what is the car going to do for you? Well, it's going to let me drive around. What are you, nuts? So you want to be able to go where you want to go. Oh, and it's going to make me feel good because it's a sports car, a race car. So you're going to have fun and be in your joy. And you're going to have freedom. I would mention the car.
Are you gonna say that before you start?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what the beginning conversation is about. And I'm teaching you how to go from being a spiritual mind treatment vending machine to being able to have the conversation about, let's get out of secondary causation and get to treating in the absolute. Because really what that person wants is freedom. They want joy and happiness, and treat for that. Freedom would do it, and if that car is in alignment with their freedom, that car will show up. And very possibly show up without any payments, without a financial obligation. We have one couple in this center, Sandy and Becca Myers. They have been given 3 vehicles since they came to this center. 3 of them, just totally, here's the pink slip, here's the deed, we're giving you this vehicle. They should do a workshop on how to create vehicles. But yes, I always try to go with people and people try to catch me on the fly Sunday morning, treat for me for this, and I've just learned to go, no. Just no. First of all, if you want me to do something for you, you're gonna have to make an appointment and come invest some time. I'm not your walking on the fly girl. But no, I'm not gonna do that because we don't have nearly enough time to know what's really going on. And what I want to do is I want to treat what's really going on. And I want to get in there and heal those things that have caused someone to not be able to go where they want to go. So I would do that very much in the beginning. And then you have to get agreement on it. And if they insist and say, no, I really want a car, I just want a car, then it's up to you whether or not you do the treatment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, when I first started to do this, and Breezy was my prayer partner, that's what she did to me, and I didn't really understand that's what she was doing.
She was poking around?
Right, to
Uh-huh.
begin with, before she started the treatment.
To see what you really
Right,
wanted.
right.
Most people
I
don't
missed
want a
that whole
car.
part until now.
David Martin.
I'm going to venture into something rather interesting to me, and that is, first of all, we don't treat for anybody who does not ask for it, because the person for whom we're treating needs to more or less be open and receptive to the treatment. And
Plus, we don't have a right to meddle in their lives.
that's correct. So that the initial step towards that is the individual asking for treatment. But actually is what you're, I think, saying is that to go further in terms of help to clarify the patient's understanding of what it is that they are going to be receptive to. For if they don't have the subjective receptivity, if they don't bring the old saying, a large enough cup, then the treatment will not be effective, or as effective as if the patient is open and receptive to it. And actually in the reading, Holmes makes reference to that, and that it will externalize in him at the level of his emotional embodiment of the thought of the practitioner.
Of the practitioner.
Of the practitioner.
Yes.
So is what you're doing is you're actually helping the patient to understand their responsibility without actually putting it into those terms.
Well, you're bringing them along.
Yes.
You're trying to
Yes.
get them to be in agreement that yes, of course, they can have this. And a practitioner session, the 1 Minute Miracle is not a practitioner session. Those of you who haven't availed yourself of the Thursday practitioners that are here, I would strongly encourage you to do that, because you have an hour to talk about it, to look at it, to see how much acceptance you can have, to see if that's really what you want. And someone trained to guide you in there and bring you along, and someone who then has the big enough bucket to accept that with you, so that you don't have to be all super enlightened to have what it is you want the treatment for. Because sometimes if you're in the midst of it, if someone just told you you're gonna die, you're not all together. People come in here sobbing. And so the practitioner holds that space of there's a health and a wholeness within you that cannot be denied. It was always there, it's there now, and I am knowing that that is manifest in you as your body right here and right now, that kind of a thing. So absolutely, if someone hasn't asked, you have no right, for that matter, Ernest calls it malpractice, to go around treating for people who haven't asked for treatment. They've worked long and hard to create that problem. Let them have it. There may be a whole life transformation in there. It may be their exit strategy for that marriage, that job, this life. You don't have any right to take that away, because you can. You can meddle with them, so don't do it.
Yeah, but the point is that you're going beyond just a simple act of the
Oh, of course.
client making the request.
Sure, because they don't know what they don't
Right.
know. And so it's your job to poke a little bit, like Breezy did with you, Ann, to say, well, what would that give you? Well, how would your life be? How can you see yourself having that? And if they go, oh, there's no way I can see myself having that, then you've got work to do. You don't just spit out a treatment to someone who's a wreck. But this is all practitioner training, and since you're doing treatment work for each other in the second half of class, you're learning parts of that. And truly, if you haven't gone to spend an hour with a practitioner, I would so encourage it. They're here Thursdays. There's a sign-up sheet on the Welcome Center. I've had people say, oh, I have no idea what I would do with a practitioner for an hour. That's ridiculous. And then they come out and they go, wow, that was amazing. Thank
It
you.
doesn't seem like an hour.
Yeah. You good?
What's that?
Are you good?
Well, I mean, carrying it a little farther, some of the most effective treatment is what we would call absent treatment. The patient has no idea
Right.
what it is that you as a practitioner is doing. It all takes place on the subjective and subconscious level. So, in essence, is what you want to do is to try to help the patient to be open and receptive on the subjective and subconscious level.
Right, which is to get the head out of the way with all of the yeah buts. What was it Reverend Ike used to say? Get your butt out of the way. Get your butt out of the way, not the yeah but, yeah but, yeah but. Get it out of the way so that you can have what it is you want. But don't limit yourself to this shiny little object or this particular person, because you've got the whole universe at your disposal. Tiana, did you have your hand up?
Well, I did. I think I kind of figured it out. It was in reference to, like, asking for a car, and I was going to ask if, like, that's, different than, asking for a home, like a house for, all my family and stuff like that. But I feel like I kind of figured it out where I'd be asking for, like, security. And
security and
space
connection and love and,
Right.
and ease and joy.
Yeah.
And then watch the house, the castle, the resort, whatever it is, show up for you to have that. But we don't know what infinite possibilities are. So we open up to as much as we can, and amazing things show up. It's really fun to do this. Or you could just stay a spiritual mind treatment vending machine and just pop out the little nitty-gritties of life. But I found that not to be satisfying anymore. Anything else? RJ?
I'm kind of running with what David Marks said. We want to be treating for somebody who's aware of what's going on, essentially a sentient being, but there are dogs, cats, animals we can still treat for and still be effective, even though they are not aware of what we're saying or what we're doing. Correct?
Yes, but I think he was saying that you want to treat for someone who's gone away so that you can't have their resistance. I mean, someone far away, non-local. Isn't that what you said, non-local
What was that?
treatment? Non-local treatment so that you don't have the resistance of the person? I
No,
prefer someone that's unconscious.
I was saying that treatment is as effective, you know, at a distance, not with actually being with the individual, as it is with them. And in some respects, it can be more effective.
More effective, because you don't have the resistance in front of you. You don't have the condition in front of you. But I find that I'm going somewhere that's beyond time and space, so it doesn't really matter. If the person's there in front of me, I'm not really there anymore. I've gone somewhere else. So whether they're here, whether they're halfway around the world, whether they're in a hospital, whether they're in surgery, it doesn't really matter anymore to me because I'm somewhere else. Karen, and then we're going to break.
I have a friend who, there's always an excuse for everything. Her post-traumatic stress from her childhood, there's nothing she can do about that. Saturn is in her 12th house now, so this is
Forgiveness, compassion.
Okay, well, but what I'm trying to say is, what about people who are attached to these things?
I don't care. That's their life. That's none of my
Okay, but
business.
she wants me to listen to her. She doesn't want me to help her. She just wants me to
that's your business. I gave up listening to people like that. Even in counseling, it'll be like 5 minutes. I go, okay, I've had enough. I'm done. My phrase is, I'm done. Oh, but I haven't told you. I'm done. I'm done. That's all I'm gonna listen to. You've had a chance to tell your story. I got where you're going. Now you're just doing variations on a theme. I'm done. But that's your choice. That's for you to decide at what point you're done.
Well, I've reached the point where I am, and
Okay, but do it with compassion and love, or else it's gonna hurt you. If you do it with anger and judgment, do it with compassion and love. Gosh, we were all there, Karen.
what do you say to someone?
I'm done. I just told you that.
That's it. 2 words.
I'm done. I love you. You want me to treat for you? You want me to pray for you? You want me to know that you get through this? And I had a great phrase when my son was growing up. I have great faith that you can figure this out. That was my phrase to him all through his teenage years. I have faith that you can figure this out. Mom, you gotta drive me here again. I have great faith that you can figure this out.
Yeah.
It's great. Kindness, compassion, love, and not being a victim, not having boundary issues, codependent, no more. Melody Beatty.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's take a break. You're gonna find your treatment partner and do treatment work, and we'll come back and debrief at the end of class. Good. Any awarenesses tonight? RJ?
Well, Rick and I really tested each other. Going up and these are the things I want. These are the secondary causation conditions that we want. And worked each other over to get to that primary causation.
Good, good. So what was the primary cause that you treated for?
Safety, order.
Safety,
Peace.
order, peace. Exactly. Exactly. Good job. Who else? Any epiphanies tonight?
I'm realizing that wanting a pain-free body, and the word pain still being in there, is like asking for the car or the house. So I have asked myself, what would having a pain-free body bring to me?
Right, because pain-free is still pain. Mhm. And so what
Instead
would,
of focusing on being pain-free,
right,
I tried to refocus on what were the things that would come from that condition.
right, so what kinds of words did you come up with?
Ease, more carefree, energy, focus, feeling comfortable in my body.
Ease, carefree, more energy, comfort, or focus, and being comfortable in your body. Excellent.
In pain, I can't focus.
Right, right. So you're treating for the things you want, not the things you don't want. And whenever you say pain-free, the universe is only getting pain. Right, so you're creating more pain. You don't want to do that. That's why we don't put a not in there. I don't have. No, let's go with what you have.
So it would be focusing on a comfortable body.
Sure, my body is comfortable, it's flexible, it's strong, I feel great. I waken in the morning filled with energy. My body is youthening every day. Throw it all out there. Youthening, not euthanizing. Who else? The energy in the room when you're treating is just extraordinary. It is so clear and clean and high and sweet all at the same time. So I know you're going somewhere. David Mark.
There's been a lot of mention of secondary causation this evening. And I wonder, at least for myself, what my understanding is, and maybe if we could clarify that a little bit, but I always understood secondary causation is when you take an effect and make it a cause.
Right, in the up and down of the
Right,
teaching
and
symbol.
and that the world of time and space, the world of relativity, the world that we live in is really the world of secondary causation.
On an absolute level.
Well, the absolute is beyond that. The absolute is where all that stuff came from.
Right. The teaching symbol has a little curve on the tip, and that's because the creative process is always going on. Oftentimes we'll create something and then we'll use that creation as the cause for the next creation. And that can be a positive thing,
Right.
but it can be a positive thing. It can be love. Love, I'm gonna love the hell right out of you. And then that love becomes the next cause and becomes the next cause. Troward calls secondary causation any person, place, or thing. So it's down in the bottom of the teaching symbol in the world of effect. So person, place, or thing is down here. And what we want to do is we want to be up here with love and light and freedom and joy and ease and grace and peace. All of those attributes of the divine. And not focus our good on the manifestation. The manifestation's old news. You know, we can just create a new one just like that. So in what I was talking about tonight, secondary causation is down in the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you pay bills and buy cars and.
Right. If I have enough money, I'll be okay. If I have a certain look, I'll be okay. If I have a certain person, I'll be okay. No. You are so more than okay. You're magnificent. You're up here. Thank you. Anything else? I'm going to give you a little homework. This is for you. Take one, pass them down. It's not, you're not going to hand it in. We may talk about it, but it's really a good exercise on looking at your language and going from limiting language to freeing language. Just grab one. Because we really want to use the freeing language. So it's a list. Limiting language, and then turn it around to freeing language. Limiting language is no, I can't. Freeing language is what?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. It's not complicated, but when you hear yourself using limiting language, then write it down and then flip it. Or if you hear yourself using freeing language, just go ahead and fill up that column and put that down. Any questions or comments? I was looking at this and I want to play you a song. You want to hear a song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
On.
Yeah, you were saying instead of being specific when we treat, be more,
The ideas are the synonyms for spirit. Peace, joy, love, prosperity, happiness, life, light, all of that. So bring your treatments up to that instead of.
Leave it in myself.
Yes, yes. Yes, now I have never used this Bluetooth setup in this room, but I bought it and installed it, so I think it'll work. There we go. I was looking at this going, God is, and I thought, boy, I should just play Faith Rivera.
Play who?
Feeling very techy. Turn it on. Come on, baby. And we're gonna have to turn the camera off for this, since it is copyrighted material. Your career, that love is what you are. That beauty's flowing freely, in and out and through, as wonderful ones. So that was just my sharing. Take out what you're gonna give. Those of you watching online, you can go to the donate button on your YouTube page right now, and it'll take you to our PayPal account. Thank you for being part of supporting this ministry. We are changing the world together. So what I know is that God is. That power and that presence, that oneness, that infinite flow, that absolute abundant prosperity in and through all things is what I am. And so I know for and about everyone in the sound of my voice that we are rich, we are full, we are free, and that we are completely supported by all of life. I know that as we come together to use these teachings to create a better life, we create a better world. That the work that we do is holy work, and we are blessed. And so with great gratitude and thanksgiving for all of the support, for the spreading of this teaching, for all of those that let our light shine, I simply release this treatment into all that God is, knowing that God is in it all because God is all. And so it is. Thank you, thank you. There's gold dust in the air, acres of diamonds. And I know that everything in these baskets is blessed. Everything that's ever been given to this center is blessed. And not only does it bless this center, it blesses each of us doing the giving. I know that as we give, we go with the gift. So the light is bigger, the love is stronger. Life is all there is. I know it's like a golden light that pours forth from each of us, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. And as that energy moves in our lives, things happen. So right here and right now, each and every one of us is touched. Each and every one of us is blessed. And each and every one of us is healed. I know that energy is always here and now, touching every one of us here today. Everyone who has ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is. I love you guys. Have a wonderful week. Stay warm. I know the Massachusetts and Connecticut people don't think it's cold, but the Florida people do.
I don't know, and there, like one.